Large goes live. This is my 4 p.m. session. It is 5 p.m. because being a lawyer and not being prepared is a horrible thing. So I went ahead and prepared for all my stuff. And now here I am. It's 5 o'clock almost. This is Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. I'm starting my afternoon session of Alexander Napolitan, Attorney at Large Goes Live, discussing current events from a legal perspective and taking your questions in the chat. This afternoon, we are looking at a situation where all 10 victims have been identified in a deadly float plane crash into Puget Sound, which apparently is near Whidbey Island in Washington State. Okay, the U.S. Coast Guard has released the names of all 10 people who were on the float that crashed off Whidbey Island on Sunday. Very sad situation. Looks like there was a pilot there that, we don't know what happened. We don't know if his name's Jason Winters. We don't know if something struck the plane. We don't know if he became incapacitated or what happened here. The plane apparently fell 700 feet kind of straight down according to the blotter. Someone had looked at the blotter and decided, 700 feet straight down into the water. Unlike prior plane crashes in Washington State, in that area, unfortunately, these 10 did not survive. So Jason Winters is the pilot. It looks like this lady, Sandra Sandy Williams, was also on the plane. It looks like she has an at Gonzaga U. She probably was a Gonzaga alum. That was the Gonzaga president, it looks like, Thane Nicolo. Okay, this lady was like a pretty prominent civil rights activist. She was on aboard the plane too, and that's unfortunate. And there's a nice looking couple here, Luke and Rebecca, and of course there's some that are named here, Patricia Pat Hicks. There's no photo of her. Anyway, moving on, Joanne Mara. And we got Gabrielle Hanna, who is a young lawyer, 29 years old. It looks like she'd probably only been practicing for a couple of years. And unfortunately, she lost her life. And this couple and their child, Remy, Ross Andrew, and the Ross Andrew Winery. This is Ross Mickle. He is the owner of the East Side-based Ross Andrew Winery. So going down further into the article, we have some information about how the incident might have occurred. Remember, I'm taking your questions in the chat. This is Alexander Napolitan, Attorney at Large Goes Live, taking your questions in the chat every day. So if you have questions, I have answers. Remember, it's entertainment only. I'm here to help you, here to give you my perspective on current events and on your situation if you need help, but it's not legal advice. So if I say, hey, you have a lawsuit here or whatever, you need to speak with a lawyer. But I'd like to help you in any way that I can, so leave me a question in the chat or ask me a question about this story. So the thrust of the story, the importance of the story is to be careful flying around in little planes. The single-engine float plane that crashed was a DHC-3 turbine Otter. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, the plane is about 200 feet deep in the water. Uh-oh. So this plane is going to have to be extracted, and it will have to be inspected, and they maybe will find that it was damaged somehow. Maybe something happened mechanically in the plane. Maybe it wasn't maintained. Maybe there is an error. Maybe there was a pilot error. Maybe they'll see that the instrument panel shows something. And based upon that investigation, maybe there's some negligence, and these people who passed away, sadly, but their families will have wrongful death claims. And the wrongful death claims are insurance claims against the insurance company who insured whoever was negligent in causing the incident. Maybe it's the pilot through pilot error. Maybe it is a mechanical issue. Maybe it's a maintenance issue. So depending on the plane, a mechanical issue could be covered by the manufacturer. We don't know. So these are things that this is why the plane needs to be inspected. So anyway, going back to it, this is Alexander Napolin, attorney at large, goes live. Today we're discussing a plane crash that killed 10 people. Those 10 people have been identified. And I am just discussing the possibility of liability for someone who was piloting the plane, potentially who worked on the plane. We don't have the investigation back yet. That might take some time. Oh, sorry, I scrolled all the way down here. I was just going down to the bottom here. Okay, so it looks like it's going to take some time. It looks like this float plane is at the bottom of the lake or whatever, 200 feet down. They're going to have to go retrieve the plane, the debris. They're going to have to maybe do an investigation to determine if the pilot became incapacitated, if a plane struck a bird or a drone. Could have been someone flying a drone. Are they going to recover the drone? I don't know. What if it hit the plane? Would it have gone into the plane? They haven't recovered wreckage from a drone. So apparently there is no drone. Anyway, this is a very sad story. I wanted to go over it today. I wanted to do more on the PACT Act. That's the VA, the Veterans Administration, getting $280 billion in new funding in order to help veterans with medical treatment for all kinds of different issues that are now presumed to be caused by the burn pits and other toxic exposure. The $280 billion is better than nothing, and it also does not come directly from the defense budget. It's something that comes from a separate fund to help veterans for, what happened to them in the toxic exposure at the burn pits, where they put batteries and body parts and all kinds of toxic things in there and burned it with jet fuel and caused a bunch of toxic exposure to our veterans. There's now presumption that certain cancers and all kinds of different conditions, you can find that over on the Veterans Administration website. I'll do another live stream on it tomorrow. I'll put it up. I'll throw it in the description if you're interested. If you are a veteran or if you're a family member of a veteran or you are a friend of a veteran, you might find it helpful to hop on there and see if you qualify for one of these presumptive claims. Maybe you've been denied by the Veterans Administration in the past for the same claim because you didn't have the medical evidence to prove that your cancer was related to, the exposure at the burn pit. But based upon our discussion this morning, we can just look it up. We can go over to the PACT Act here. And Google's never is always better than Bing. But anyway, we can go to the PACT Act and we can go ahead and see that there is now, you can see based upon this page, which I'm going to go ahead and throw in the chat, which I did this morning, getting off topic here from the plane crash, but you can go ahead and check out this page. And if you have been denied in the past, if you have not followed up, you may have a presumption now. You have the right to go back as a veteran and ask the Veterans Administration for a relook based upon this presumption. And I know that because I looked up PACT Act 2022. I wish I could find the text quickly for you all. I just keep clicking on the Veterans Resource link, which is a great link. You all should have it. But here's the link to the actual act. Okay. Which I'm going to then go ahead and throw into the chat too. So you can go ahead and take a look at that link. If you're watching this, this is going to be a good resource for you. Mostly the resource from the va.org, not necessarily from what I'm pulling up here. But if you look into the act, okay, whoops. Oh, 500%, good. Sorry guys, here, technical difficulties. I did something. If you look into the act, you find keep going around and round and round and round in my head. I just looked at it. I was just reading it. There's more to it. Let's see here. Well, anyway, let's find it here. Here we go. Okay, here it is. So, I know that took a long time, and if you're out there watching, I'm not keeping you very entertained, but we are discussing the PACT Act, and the PACT Act is for the veterans and the outreach pursuant to changes in presumptions of service connection. So Section 1167 of the Act, whenever a law, including through a regulation or federal court decision or settlement, establishes or modifies a presumption of service connection, the Secretary shall identify all claims for compensation under this chapter that were submitted to the Secretary, were evaluated and denied by the Secretary before the date on which such provision of law went into effect, and might have been evaluated differently had the establishment or modification been applicable to the claim. Okay? And pursuant to subchapter B, conduct outreach to the claimants. So if you're out there right now and you're watching and you're a veteran, or you're a friend of a veteran, or you are a family member of a veteran, if you are a surviving spouse and you believe that your spouse passed away or from this situation, you might be entitled to benefits, and I encourage you to head on over and file a disability claim online at va.gov. Now, I put my link to that in the chat, so that's up on the screen here, and I encourage you to do it. My name's Alexander Napolin. I'm an attorney in California. You can call my office if you need further help. It's 866-NAPOLIN, but remember, the information that I'm giving out here, it's for entertainment purposes only. It's not legal advice. If you need legal advice, you have to speak one-on-one with a lawyer, and then that lawyer learns all the facts and circumstances of your case and then gives you the advice. That's advice. Information you hear from me is general in nature only. It's not legal advice. But I'm telling you, if you're a veteran, go ahead and head over to the PACT Act resources page on the va.org. I know it's going to take forever. I know maybe you don't have time, so you need on your side. So you need to go and you need to get this process going right away. Now, heading back over to our other topic, and we'll go through this again, I wanted to just go back to what we were discussing before with the victims of the plane crash. So if you are a victim in this plane crash, if you are a family member in this plane crash, you might have legal rights against the pilot, against the mechanic, against the plane manufacturer. We don't know what happened, but we will eventually potentially know what happened, unless it's just one of those freak incidents where they never find out what happened, or maybe there was no insurance, it was just pilot error, and that's happened before. So I'm checking out the chat. I don't see anybody in the chat. We're going after 5 o'clock. It's 5:09. We've discussed the plane crash. I covered what I wanted to cover on the PACT Act, although I should probably go ahead and put that in a new stream tomorrow with a little bit more oomph to it, since no one really saw it here. Looks like there's only one viewer. But anyway, if you're out there and you're watching, follow me on YouTube, follow my channel, like my videos, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my little chats here every day. And it's Alexander Napolin, Attorney at Large, goes live every day at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., broadcasting live, discussing current events from a legal perspective and answering your questions in the chat. Come on, guys, hop in the chat. I know you're out there. I know you're watching somewhere. You'll watch this video one day. I got these cool different things I can do for you. I can help you understand a legal document. I can help you understand an article from a legal perspective. So what is the significance of these people passing away from a legal perspective? The legal perspective is that planes should be safe. People should not be hurt through the negligence of other people. That's the lawyer's job in our society. Well, that's my job as an injury lawyer. Now, right now, I'm just attorney at large. I'm just giving you general advice. It's just to help you out in life. It's not legal advice. But from a legal perspective, I'm looking at this article and I'm saying, hey, there's potential lawsuits here. So if you've been involved in this incident, if your family member passed away, you're a son, a daughter, a mother, a grieving a sibling, you might decide to contact an attorney because you believe that something happened in this plane crash that wasn't on the up and up. Usually planes don't crash unless there's some form of negligence, but maybe it hit a bird and maybe it was a natural factor that caused this plane to go ahead and fall out of the sky. Literally 700 feet, boom, down into the ocean. It plummeted, and all 10 passengers, including a young child, passed away, 22-month-old boy, Remy. Very sad to hear from a legal perspective. Something happened here. Some type of negligence could be afoot, and only an investigation is going to bring that out. Maybe it will bring out nothing. Maybe it was a natural situation. Maybe it wasn't. But if you're up there in Washington, if you had a family member, maybe you live in California, you want to seek attorney representation for your family member, I'd be happy to consult with you. It's a free consultation. Dial 866-NAPOLEON, and you free to ask questions in the chat. But remember that if you were involved, if your family member did pass away in this incident, that anything that you say here is discoverable by the defense or by the other opposing party in any legal action. This is a tragedy. The Coast Guard's still looking for debris. Okay, the search and rescue mission has been coordinated, and 10 crash victims have been identified. And here they are in this article. So if you're out there and you're wondering what I'm talking about, you're hopping into this stream and you're seeing that we have all 10 victims identified from the float plane crash into Puget Sound, which apparently is an area, I called it a lake, but I think it's like an inlet from the Pacific Ocean on Whidbey Island. I don't want to hear about all these. It's a beautiful place. Okay, if we just look at the pilot. He was a longtime commercial pilot, Jason Winters. Okay, so here's a piece on Jason. He seems like he's a good guy. Okay, commercial pilot. He's flown commercially, so he's flown for pay. He's loved aviation since he helped wash and load seaplanes as a high schooler in Manson-Chelan County. Died after a plane. He was flying, crashed near Whidbey Island Sunday. You know, that's the thing. My grandfather, he flew airplanes commercially. He flew in the military as well, and he loved flying from a young age. He got his older brother Seymour helped him out and helped him get flying lessons, and then ultimately he got to have a career there. So my grandfather was an excellent pilot and flew a lot of hours. So if this guy's flown a lot of hours, it's probably something not pilot related. But who knows? Officials have not released details about the cause or circumstances of the crash, and the National Transportation Safety Board is conducting an investigation. Okay. The plane, owned and operated by a local charter service, was traveling from Friday Harbor to Renton when it crashed near Whidbey Island Sunday around 3 p.m. A woman's body was recovered shortly after by the first crews to respond. Blah, 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 blah. He's loved. So sad. No joking. Barely any smile, despite the fact that he was a jokester. He was a very serious pilot. Okay? And he started in high school helping out with planes. That's basically who Jason Winters is. So maybe it was not pilot error. Maybe it was some other situation going on. Maybe the plane crash was from a mechanical error or a maintenance failure. And then look, the civil rights activist celebrating her birthday among 10 killed in this plane crash. Civil rights activist Sandy Williams has been named as one of 10 people who died. Okay, that's sad. She was going to be 61 years old. She was on her way back from celebrating her birthday on vacation in the San Juan Islands when the plane crashed. Okay, she was the publisher and editor of The Black Lens, the only newspaper focusing on the African American community in eastern Washington state. She was also the executive director of the Karl Maxey Center, an African American community organization in Spokane. When founding the center, Ms. Williams chose to name it after the first African American attorney in Spokane. Wonderful. It's nice. Okay. So this lady passed away, and I don't know if the people in there were related to her. It doesn't say much here. Okay. Anyway, it's a sad situation. Be careful on little planes. That's the rule, is that when you go up in little tiny planes that only hold 10 people, when they're like I don't know, when it's a DHC-3 turbine otter, okay, when it's one of these types of planes. You know, when I was up in Washington, I flew on a little plane. I flew on a little plane over to Wenatchee, but it was bigger than this little plane. I mean, this thing's a DHC-3 otter. I mean, this is a tiny plane. It's only got one engine on it. I mean, you would think that maybe they'd have two engines. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for today. This is Alexander Napolin, Attorney at Large, goes live every day at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Today I was a little bit late. It's not legal advice. It's general information only. It's meant to help you, but it's not legal advice. If you do need legal advice, give my office a call at 866-NAPOLIN or visit my website at www.napolinlaw.com. See y'all tomorrow.